When we see these white sugar silos, we know we're home.
They say home is where the heart is. And for many in the city of Brighton, these white sugar silos at the Great Western Sugar Plant are the heart of the community.
They refer to the Great Western Sugar Company like it's one of their friends, not a factory or a business.
But sugar was business on Colorado's eastern plains. Big business.
This one missed the harvest.
John WEIGANDT's family has been a part of that business for 4 generations.
It was a very big part of the community. There had to be a contract signed between the two every year, the growers and the factory owners.
The sugar beet industry seemed uniquely fit to Colorado's eastern plains. The beets grow in the ground, making them resistant to the hailstorms that frequently damaged other crops.
It was a fabulous industry, well managed, very much grower-oriented.
For much of the 20th century, it provided the backbone of northern Colorado's economy.
We'd haul them to the railroad track. That's where our dump station was. From there, the train would come right here to the factory.
The factory was Great Western Sugar's Brighton processing plant.
The city had been trying to get them out here for quite a while, and in about 1916 they decided they did need to have a factory here, and so they came out and built the place that was finished in 1917.
It was one of 13 such plants operated by Great Western in Colorado, and Brighton's largest employer.
This end here was what we called the sugar end.
Chesney Criswell worked at the plant.
I was 3rd generation with the sugar company.
The plant could process over 2,000 tons of beets in one day.
You bring a beet in, you slice it, it goes into a diffuser, it just squeezes the juice out of the pulp. The pulp goes from there towards the drier end to make cattle feed. The juice comes to the sugar end, and then from there it's processed into sugar. And then from there into the silos.
The plant was the flagship for Great Western, even attracting the attention of President Eisenhower.
Everyone was really excited about it. It was really a big deal here in town.
While folks in town still talk about that day, it's the everyday stories of the plant that still draw the community together.
When you meet somebody on the street that either worked here or knew someone who did, and they all have a story, a very personal story to tell.
The sugar beet industry began to decline in the 1960s. The Brighton plant fell victim to that slowdown in 1977.
And one day I had a job, next day they hand me my walking papers.
8 years later, Amalgamated Sugar bought the factory to use as a distribution center. Today, they only use a small portion of the factory.
A lot of people think it is vacant, or we're not doing any business here.
The unused buildings, including the processing plant, are currently slated for demolition.
We're working with them to see what we can do to prevent part of the destruction, but some of it obviously has to be destroyed because of the health and safety issues.
Preservationists and city leaders are working to come up with alternatives.
We're bringing in a structural engineer to take a look at it, to see if we can then talk to the owners in more detail about possibilities.
The hope is to find a use that can benefit Amalgamated and restore the factory to its former role as a community center.
These historical places can be used, they can be repurposed, where the treasured place is still there, so our heritage is still there.